Good afternoon, gardeners. It's Wednesday, February 17th, and it's a bitter cold, windy day here on the southeastern coast of North Carolina. And today I wanted to discuss what happens when you do not prune your fig trees, especially fig trees in containers. About a week ago, I posted a video all about how to prune fig trees for cuttings. And that video led to a lot of discussions. And I had a user make a comment that I thought was a very good comment. And what the user said was that they've never pruned their fig tree before, and they were afraid to prune their fig tree, and they weren't quite sure where to begin and what they should do. And that comment really got my mind moving. And here's why. This fig tree right here is a Galicia Negra fig tree. I purchased cuttings back in the winter of 2020. I rooted the cuttings, and I now have this tree that you see in front of me that is taller than I am. And this tree basically stopped growing for me last October when winter came along, the growth stopped, and all this growth is basically over the course of one spring and summer. So to anybody out there that is afraid to prune your fig tree, first and foremost, do not be afraid, because all of this growth happened in a 7 to 8 month time period. Even if you completely botch your prune job and you have to hack the tree down to the roots, the tree is probably going to come back at least this large for you over the course of one season. So do not be afraid to prune your fig trees. They're extremely forgiving, and they're the best tree out there to learn pruning techniques, because if you make a mistake, they recover so quickly. Now let me first preface this video by saying there's a difference between growing your figs in ground or in containers. If you're growing your fig trees in ground, there is no need to prune your fig trees. You do not have to prune them. The reason why people prune in-ground fig trees is they are trying to fit the trees in a smaller space and they want to keep the form compact. They are trying to prune it to a desired shape for aesthetics because they like the way it looks, or they are trying to prune their tree to cut it back to keep the branching low so their fruits form low enough that they won't have to get out a ladder and harvest figs off the top of their fig tree. If you do not prune your in-ground fig trees, they can easily grow to be 20 feet wide by 20 feet high or more. So that's a pretty massive tree. But there's no physical need to prune that fig tree other than fitting it into certain spaces, your overall visual preferences, or ease of harvest. When we are talking about fig trees in containers, the game changes. When it comes to fig trees in containers, my opinion is you absolutely must prune them for not just ease of access of the fruits, but for the health of the tree. And here is why. The overwhelming majority of us are growing figs to eat the main crop figs that form in the spring and are ripe in the late summer or early fall. Some fig varieties have a crop of figs called a Breba crop that will form on the previous year's wood and they'll ripen in late spring or early summer. Not all varieties of figs have a Breba crop, and the fruit quality is generally considered inferior. So we are not going to talk about Brebas. We are going to talk about the main crop figs that the overwhelming majority of us are growing figs for. Now, main crop figs only will set on the new growth that comes along in the spring. So you have to wait for new growth to appear all throughout spring, and then at some point in late spring or early summer, you'll start at the nodes of the fig trees, you'll start getting little bumps that will become figlets in early summer. And you're going to hope that they ripen for you by late summer, early fall. So for all intents and purposes, you are only going to get a crop of figs on the new wood of the tree. This fig tree is only one season old, as I previously mentioned. All of this is old wood, so none of this old wood is going to form main crop figs. Any main crop figs that form on this tree will have to form on new season's wood, and that's all going to start all the way up here. So this tree is already over 6 feet tall. What's going to happen is the new wood is going to be so high up that if I have any prayer of harvesting the fruit off of that new wood, I'm going to have to get some kind of stool or a ladder. And I don't really want to have to deal with a tree that is that tall in such a small container. The idea behind growing your trees in containers is to keep them small, and easy access of fruit is critical in order to make the harvest really worth your time. The second thing is, once this tree starts becoming really laden with leaves, it's going to become a target for wind. And what you're going to find is when this tree gets this tall and it's full of leaves, it's going to start blowing over on you if you do not have it appropriately staked. And when that happens, it's going to knock the fruit off every single time it hits the ground. And it's a really big problem when these start getting more than about 5 feet tall or so. So it really becomes detrimental to the fig tree if you do not keep them short enough. They will require a lot of staking in containers. Now that brings me to my third point. What you see right here in this tree is in this bucket, and it is already very root bound after one season. It's holding that root ball amazingly well. So when you grow a fig tree in containers, you are limiting that fig tree to whatever nutrients it can pull out of this little tiny container right here. So at some point, it doesn't matter how much I fertilize this fig tree, you're going to get to the point where the roots are not going to be able to take up enough nutrients to support wood growth. And what's going to happen is you're going to have a tremendous loss of vigor over seasons if you do not keep this tree small and compact. This root structure that's inside this container is already maxing itself out to try to keep this wood alive. So if I expect all new green growth to start growing feet above this tree, the roots are simply not going to be able to support that much wood. It's not going to be able to support a tree that large. So you're going to get a major reduction in vigor, you're going to get a reduction in fruit set, and the tree is overall not going to perform very well for you. So in my opinion, when it comes to growing figs in containers, pruning them back pretty significantly every single year is absolutely critical for the health of the tree, the vigor of the tree, the fruit production, and your own safety and ease of harvesting the fruit. Now, when it comes to pruning your fig trees, I will make sure to link to a video above about how to prune them for perfect form, great vigor, and excellent production. I generally recommend pruning your fig trees down to roughly about 12 to 16 inches in height with your central leaders when they're in containers, because it helps keep the fruiting low for ease of access, and it also makes them less of a target by wind to blow over every single time you get some kind of storm in the summer. And the smaller form is a whole lot easier to manage than when a fig tree gets that tall. However, feel free to experiment with your fig trees when it comes to pruning. You can try single stemming them, you can try going with 2 main stems like this, you can even try 3. Experiment with different forms and see how they perform in your environment. See which form you like better, that both performs better in terms of fruit production and that you like the looks better. Because fig trees are so forgiving, they will come back quickly if you make a mistake with your pruning and you don't like the way they turned out. So that's pretty much all there is to this video. I don't want to keep it any longer or more complicated than that because it's really a simple concept. Prune your fig trees in containers. You absolutely must for good production and the overall health of the plant. When it comes to your fig trees in ground, dealer's choice. You do what you want. Just get the desired form that you want. I like doing mine in a espalier form, and I'll make sure to link to that video above. I have several fig trees that are growing espalier in my yard, and I absolutely love it. So everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please make sure to hit that like button, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe for future updates and more videos like these. If you're curious about any of the products that I use in my garden, they are all linked in my Amazon storefront in the video description. Thank you all again for watching, and we hope to see you again on the next video. So Dale is so smart and observant that he knows that I only sit down and watch TV at night. I never watch TV during the day. The only time I turn the TV on is when I have to go either grocery shopping or I leave for the gym and it's still daylight out. So he knows that if the daylight is out and the TV comes on, that means he's getting a treat to go inside his kennel to sit while I'm away. So watch this. Here comes somebody. Here comes somebody. Hey, buddy. What you doing? What you doing? We better put Pandora on. Oh, look. Dale's going in his kennel. He knows I'm putting music on for him while I go to the grocery store. Do you think you're getting a treat, Dale? Do you want your Kong? You want your Kong. Okay, buddy. Oh, he knows exactly what to do. He is so observant.